Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking those complex GitHub operations and turning them into accessible, collaborative processes that actually empower your whole team. If you're a product manager, UX designer, or maybe a business analyst who feels like version control is some kind of dark art reserved just for engineers, well, you're in the exact right place. We're breaking down the socio-technical barriers of software development. Forget the dense command line interfaces for a second. We're focusing on the human interactions that really build great software.
So, let's address the elephant in the room. For a lot of non-technical folks, jumping into GitHub to review code feels, well, incredibly intimidating. It's rigid. Honestly, it often feels like a high-stakes test you completely forgot to study for. You get that creeping fear of clicking the wrong button and just breaking the entire production build, right? And this anxiety creates a massive knowledge gap across teams, causing designers and managers to just avoid the code base entirely. But what if we stopped looking at version control as this fragile glasshouse and started treating it like a shared workshop?
To fix that disconnect, we have to fundamentally shift our workplace culture. We need to move from a policing mindset to a mentoring one. Look, we all know what policing looks like in a code base. It's getting publicly called out in the comments for a missing semicolon, or getting that dreaded red X with absolutely zero explanation. It treats peers with suspicion. A mentoring mindset, on the other hand, is built on dialogue and socio-technical collaboration. We're moving away from that outdated, punitive model toward a culture of shared understanding. We're not trying to turn everyone into a back-end programmer here. We just want to empower you to read, question, and participate in the product's architecture without any fear of judgment.
Here's our roadmap for mastering Module 3. We're going to cover pull request as dialogue, code review as mentoring, the cherry pick command, splitting pull requests, smart linking and AI, and finally, the squash and merge. We'll demystify the exact tools you need to navigate peer review smoothly. Let's get into it.
Section 1. Pull requests as dialogue, a space for scrutiny.
Let's start with the cornerstone of GitHub collaboration, the pull request. Now, looking at this visual framework, notice the handshake icon here in Module 3. This represents where the magic of integration and review actually happens. It's the precise point where we break down those knowledge gaps between different team members. See, a pull request isn't just some button you click to dump a massive block of code into a project. No, it's fundamentally a space for dialogue. It's literally the digital equivalent of bringing your entire team around a conference table to talk through a proposed change. The code? That's just the raw material. The pull request is the context, the rationale, and the conversation around that material.
Section 2. Code review is mentoring, not punitive policing.
This brings us to how we actually look at each other's work. The crucial takeaway is that a pull request is an open proposal for collective scrutiny. It serves as an educational space inspired by democratic cooperative principles. Think back to the 1844 Rochdale cooperative movement. Those early pioneers believed that for a cooperative business to survive, continuous education and democratic management were absolutely paramount. Everyone needed a voice, right? Everyone needed to understand the business. Well, that is exactly what a code review should be. Just like those early co-ops believed everyone should have a say, every single developer, designer, and PM should have a voice in the code base. Every review is a chance for teaching, learning, and sharing knowledge, not a moment to punish someone.
Section 3. The cherry pick command, surgical selection. Sometimes, though, you really don't want to review or integrate an entire proposal. You just want one specific, brilliant piece of it. Enter the git cherry pick command. Advanced technical cooperation sometimes requires some, well, selective triage. You might have this massive branch of highly experimental work that your team has been hammering away at for weeks. It's unstable, it's messy, and there is no way it's ready for the public. But buried deep inside that massive branch is a tiny, perfect 3-line update that your live main project desperately needs today. The cherry pick command lets you surgically extract exactly what you need without bringing along all the mess.
To really visualize this, let's turn to a collaborative restaurant analogy. Imagine your kitchen team is working on a rough draft for an unfinished vegan pie recipe. While experimenting in the back, the pastry chef discovers this revolutionary new technique for slicing apples that saves hours of prep time. Now, the vegan pie itself, completely raw, not ready for the menu. But that apple slicing technique, you can use that right now for your standard, best-selling apple pie. By using the cherry pick command, you're simply taking that brilliant technique from the draft recipe and using it immediately on your main menu, without accidentally serving your customers a half-baked pie.
Section 4. Splitting large pull requests. Logical fragmentation.
Let's see how this builds into our strategy for keeping work manageable. Going back to our busy restaurant, imagine a frantic chef trying to balance 10 wobbly, completely different plates of food while sprinting toward the head chef for a taste test. If you hand the head chef a draft with changes to 10 different dishes all at once, it's going to be a total disaster to review. Mistakes will slip through and the kitchen will just grind to a halt. The exact same thing goes for GitHub. When a developer submits a massive pull request with 50 changed files across 5 different features, reviewers get fatigued and bugs get missed. Good socio-technical practice strongly advises splitting pull requests. By fragmenting your work into tiny logical pieces, you make peer review drastically faster, you minimize those frustrating file conflicts, and you really accelerate your product's continuous delivery cycle.
Section 5. Smart Linking and AI. Bridging the Gap.
But wait, how do product managers and business analysts make sense of all these tiny fragmented code changes without getting totally lost in the technical weeds? Well, check out this automation cascade. First, the developer simply types a keyword like closes number 12 into their pull request. This instantly automatically links the technical code change directly back to the original business requirement or bug report. Everything is connected. Next, you integrate a generative AI like Claude to act as your team's translator. Claude reads through those dense code modifications and immediately outputs a plain language summary of what actually changed. Finally, your product managers can review that clear AI summary to quickly generate perfectly accurate release notes for your users, completely bypassing the need to read the raw code.
Notice how this process kind of acts like a funnel? It takes a chaotic wall of raw technical data, passes it through the AI brain, and outputs clear, human-centric communication. Using AI in your GitHub workflow isn't some magic trick to let developers avoid doing their jobs. Honestly, it's a highly practical time saver that ensures your software engineers, UX designers, and business leaders are always speaking the exact same language. It completely eliminates informational silos. AI bridges that traditional gap, empowering non-technical roles to confidently track progress, understand historical changes, and really actively participate in the product's evolution.
Section 6. The Squash and Merge. Clean History Snapshot.
Finally, we reach the ultimate moment of truth, adding the fully approved work to the official project. Look at the deep contrast here. On one side, you have what's basically a tornado of messy sticky notes. When you're deeply focused on a draft, you naturally leave yourself dozens of tiny incremental updates. Fixing a typo here, tweaking a button color there, maybe adding a note that just says, work in progress. If you merge all of that directly, you completely pollute the official project history with your messy margin notes. But using the squash and merge command takes that entire tornado of sticky notes and perfectly consolidates all those little steps into one clean, highly understandable historical milestone. It ensures that when someone new joins your team a year from now, they can read the project's history like a well-written book rather than a chaotic diary.
We've seen today that GitHub absolutely does not have to be a battlefield of confusing commands and high-anxiety deployments. It's a deeply cooperative socio-technical ecosystem. By consciously shifting from policing to mentoring, smartly splitting up your large tasks, utilizing tools like the cherry pick and squash commands, and leveraging AI to bridge the communication gap, you can completely stop fighting with version control. You can start truly co-creating with your peers. So I encourage you to take these concepts back to your organization, confidently open up your next pull request, and ask yourself, what will you build with your team today? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep collaborating.